Hello, I'm Adam Housley. You're in the strategy room as the general election showdown nears between presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton begins to take shape. Now, the pressure is on the candidates to win over voters who supported their former rivals. This could be an uphill battle as exit polls repeatedly show Democrats who voted for Bernie Sanders will not back Clinton, and likewise Republicans who voted for Ted Cruz refuse to support Trump. So, will the 2016 election be a free-for-all? Here to weigh in, our Democratic strategist, Sigmund, and columnist for the Fiscal Times, Liz Peek. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm going to start with you, Stephen. So Hillary Clinton says that she's been hearing from a lot of Republicans who say they want to support her and not Donald Trump. I mean, is that viable, do you think? Because, I mean, obviously Hillary Clinton in Republican circles is not the most liked Democratic candidate, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's given the competition, it's viable. You already have the only living Republican presidents and the last two Republican nominees for president who have said they're not going to support their nominee, I mean, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. I mean, if Al Gore, John Kerry, Barack Obama, I'll put Bill Clinton aside, Jimmy Carter all said they weren't for Hillary Clinton, can you imagine what that storyline would look like? But that's what's happened on the Republican side. So I do think there's very significant room for her, particularly among suburban Republicans who in swing states like Virginia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and other places, where I think she really will pick up what are Republican votes, and there's no evidence of it on the other side.
But Liz, I mean, right now you're hearing also from voters who say they're not going to support Hillary Clinton, who voted for Bernie Sanders, independents as well. You also have the issue that Hillary Clinton is a hot-button candidate, to say the least, amongst Republican voters for years, ever since she was First Lady. I mean, do you think that there really is a chance that she actually could pick up Republican votes?
I think there will be some moderate to left-leaning Republicans who go the way of Hillary. But, look, I think what we've seen in the primaries is enormous numbers of Democrats re-registering as Republicans to be allowed to vote for Donald Trump, independents voting for Donald Trump. He has a message that clearly transcends party lines, and it's driving Republicans on the right, conservative movement, nuts that he is not a doctrinaire conservative. But I think that works very well for him in the general election. Those people who identify themselves as hard right conservatives is a very small percentage of the electorate. So, look, Hillary Clinton is spinning this story that she's hearing from a lot of Republican donors because she wants to scare people into thinking that Donald Trump is going to cause a Barry Goldwater-like landslide defeat. And the more people who get on board with her now, the better. I really don't think it's true. Yes, there have been some notable defections, if you will, including the Bushes, who, let's face it, are pretty offended by the way Donald Trump disposed of Jeb Bush, their great hope. And there are some others, but it's really a pretty short list so far of Republican leaders who have defected from the GOP. And by the way, those people are not necessarily supporting Hillary Clinton. Right. They're just not going to support Trump.
But what you don't see really in the polling is any evidence of Democrats in particular coming over to Donald Trump. All of the polling so far, and look, it could change. We're still 6 months away from November, but all of the polling so far shows Democrats very strongly backing their nominee. Even the younger voters who have backed Bernie Sanders, when there's polling about a competition between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton takes a vast majority of those voters. So there's nothing to show right now that any of that is actually happening. And what it is showing is, at the moment, an electoral landslide for her.
But, well, I mean, the one question I have for both of you guys, and Liz, I'll have you start on this one, is the fact that you still do have two candidates in the Democratic side of things. I mean, Hillary is obviously the front runner, but you haven't had Bernie step down yet or step away from this yet. When that happens, will you see a situation where when Cruz stepped away, you had a lot of Republicans come out and say, I'm not voting for Trump? Do you think the same thing could happen when Bernie finally steps away from this campaign? Will you see some Democratic, more moderates maybe come out and say, you know what, I'm not voting for Hillary?
I don't think you'd see moderates doing it, but there could be some on the very far left. But again, you haven't seen any evidence of it in the lead up. Everybody has said they'll support the Democratic nominee.
Anecdotally, anecdotally, there have been interviews and a lot of young people who have come forward and said, no, we don't like Hillary, we're not on board with her. And here's the issue for Hillary Clinton. It isn't that young people are going to defect in droves and vote for Donald Trump. More likely is that these are unreliable voters, historically, and that they simply won't show up. And I think that's what she has to worry about more than maybe them, moving over to the Donald Trump column.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, although I think it'll get countered by the fact that you're now going to see historic registration among Hispanics who are utterly offended by Donald Trump.
Stephen and Liz, obviously we're going to have a long summer talking about this. It's going to be
many months.
Could be the most interesting we've seen in our time. Yeah, I'm not sure if people on the far right or far left are going to be happy with it, but it's going to be an interesting summer, to say the least. Stephen and Liz, thank you so much for joining us in the strategy room. For complete coverage, of course, for everything election, you can come here to foxnews.com. I'm Adam Housley in Los Angeles. Thank you for watching.